Hello everybody. Today what I'd like to do is to make a small hardy hole swage. So I was rummaging through my scrap pile and found these various pieces that I could possibly use. When you're going to make a hardy tool, normally, like if you have just a traditional, like a London style pattern anvil, it can be quite a bit of work to draw out a shank and to form the shoulder so that it sits properly in your hardy hole and then around the perimeter. But for me here, because of my style of anvil, the way I design this, I can also make hardy tools by just tapering the shank a little and then just letting it rest on. There's a shelf at the bottom of my hardy hole here, so I don't, it's very simple actually. I don't even have to forge to make some hardy tools. But that's not what I'm going to do today. What I'd like to do today is to try just a little bit different method than that. And so I've looked through my scrap pile and found these pieces. For something a little bit bigger than the hole, like this, it's about a 1-inch piece. These pieces here, I could taper it and then get it to fit in the hole where it just, stops maybe halfway, and then upset, heat, and hammer in the piece, and then upset the top end to form shoulders, and then form whatever tool swage or whatever else I want to make. But I'm going to try it a little bit different. I'm going to use probably this piece. So these pieces here, I think are all mild steel. This piece is medium carbon 1050. I probably could get away with mild steel for this tool, and in fact, I'd probably prefer to do that, just be a little bit easier hammering. But, I think what I'll try today is to use this piece of medium carbon, and then, obviously, how is this going to fit in this hole? What I'll do first is work it this way, down some, move material downward to form it into more of a square shape, and there should be enough material here for where it'll fit in. And then, I'll be able to form some shoulders so it'll rest on top of here like such. And then I can form the swage depression that I want on the top end. So, yeah, I'm just going to, as usual with a lot of videos, I'm just going to kind of go at it and see where it goes, and we'll find out. So, before I begin, though, I want to give a big shout out to two guys for donations. And those guys would be Anthony Watkins and Jerry S. Hodges. Thanks very much, fellas. Let's get to the work. Drawing out stock like this usually involves a lot of heat and patience. You'll notice the temper colors around the perimeter of the hardy hole from inserting such a hot piece. Don't concern yourself about that too much. It's just superficial and it won't affect the use of the anvil. And if around the hardy hole softened a little bit over time, that probably wouldn't even be a bad thing. See here that this has gone off to one side a little bit. But I can correct that imbalance by reversing the piece in the hardy hole and then working it as I normally do. We all have certain tendencies when we swing a hammer to tend to swing to one side or the other. So it's always good to alternate, and if you can work around your anvil, that's probably best. but if not, then reversing the piece is also an option. We had a sudden thunderstorm, so I decided to turn the forge off, and I annealed the piece. Once it was cold, I decided to do a little grinding on this. I changed my idea about what I want this to be. I decided to harden the face a little. I can somewhat determine the success of the hardness by how it sounds as I bounce it on the anvil face. One last dressing of the face with a flat disc. Okay, so there that is. The rain delay actually caused me to make a change of plan. Originally, I wanted to make this into a bottom swage, a V swage. And what I was going to do was to take this tool, and I was going to take a few more heats and then hammer that in and create that V depression. But because I had that time in between, where I had annealed this and then also I started to grind on it, it made me think that this would work better if it was this sort of a tool, kind of a radius tool. A tool that's it has curve, front to back and then side to side. And this can be primarily used to help draw out stock faster. But you can see the shoulders here probably should be a little bit wider. And originally, when I was planning to take those last few heats with this, that would have, upset that a little bit more. But as it stands, it's pretty good. And if that needs some work, then I will work on that. But another reason I made the change of plan is because this is medium carbon steel. And normally for something like a bottom swage, I just prefer to use mild steel. Just a lot easier to make the tool. And the function is just exactly the same. But for something like this, where I have to have more resistance, this 1050 is more suitable. Somewhat functioning kind of like an anvil face. So, you can imagine, like, if your hammer face has radius in all directions, and then you're hammering on a flat surface like this anvil, then the top's going to move a little bit faster than the bottom. But drawing on something like this, you'll be able to draw stock out a little bit faster, similar to when you use a horn on an anvil, where the top and the bottom are equally being spread out. So, and I think something like this is also very suitable if you work on knives for very fine blade edges, to work them from either, both sides simultaneously. So, and then one last thing that I'd like to talk about, and somewhat on this topic, is that I'm planning to make a new style of anvil. And it's going to incorporate a somewhat similar idea as I look at this. And what that's going to be is it's going to have one side, maybe the right side is going to be a flat. And then right next to that in the middle, it's going to be concave, but in a front to back. And then next to that, it's going to be convex and also, but front to back. And I think that style of anvil will be very useful for me. And I think especially for hammer making. So I might call that my hammer making anvil. So yeah, and as that plan progresses, and if I do finalize that, I will obviously show that. So anyway, yeah, thanks a lot for watching this one. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll catch you guys next time.